Hey guys, welcome back to the Gig Pit. I'm your host, as always, Melvin from Gigaflux, and today I have a really interesting topic to talk to you about. But first off, in the comments below, talk to me. Let me know what brands make you feel something and why. So apart from that, let's get into it. So most business owners think branding is something a designer makes for you. Like you pay for a logo, color palette, and a brand deck and a few templates for your social media, and then boom, you've got a brand. But here's what I want to outline today. And I really want you to hopefully resonate with this. But brand designers don't design brands. We design experiences, because a brand isn't what's in your files. A brand is what people feel, remember, and repeat about you after they've interacted with your business. And that's why the word brand has become so vague now. People use brand to mean just a logo, an Instagram aesthetic, and even just marketing and vibes within a company. But when you strip away all that fluff, the truth is quite simple. A brand is the experience people have with you and the story they tell themselves because of it. So let's break it all down properly. When a design works with you, yes, we can create creative assets. We can build you a logo, a website, brand deck, email templates, social media templates, and even packaging if you need it. All the visuals, let's face it, world's your oyster when you work with a designer. That's the building blocks. That's not a brand, but the real designer doesn't stop at how it looks. A proper brand designer steps back, starts to think to themselves, what journey is the customer going to go on here? What does the business need to prove? What fears and doubts exist in the company's customer's mind? What needs to happen for a stranger to become a buyer and then a very loyal fan of that business? That's all experience design, because the experience is the trajectory your business puts out into the world. It's not a single touch point. It's not your homepage alone. It's not just a logo. It's not about a post going viral either. It's the entire chain of moments. What people first notice, what they click, what they read, how it makes them feel, how easy your product is to buy, how they get treated, how you deliver that product, what's your refund strategy like, what you do when something ultimately goes wrong as well, what you stand by consistently. That's all experience. And over time, that experience becomes your reputation. And that reputation becomes the brand, which is why I always say this. As a business owner, you own a company, not a brand. A brand comes much later. A brand is earned. It's created by the market when enough people have had a similar experience with you and they agree on what you represent. That's when you become a brand. That's when people start to say things like, they're the best for that. They're the premium option. They're the sustainable one. They're the ones who really care. They're the ones you can trust. That doesn't come from just a logo, a color palette, some fonts, and a brand deck. That comes from the experience you consistently deliver. And I'm going to give you an example. Say you're building a sustainable business. A lot of businesses make the mistake of thinking sustainability is a business and design choice. So they go green. They use earthy colors. They put a leaf icon in the logo. They write things like eco-friendly absolutely everywhere. But that isn't sustainability. That's a claim. That's claiming sustainability. A brand is when customers believe it, buy into it, and then repeat it for you so you don't have to do it. So if you're truly sustainable, the experience has to prove that. They have to prove that within the materials, your supply chain, delivery process, the packaging, the values you show in public, the way you talk about it, the transparency, and the community you build around all of that. And then you need to connect that to the customer, because the customers don't just buy your values, they buy what your values mean for them. So you have to answer the following. Why does this matter in their life? How does it affect their decision? What does supporting you say about them? Because it is about them. That's the difference between a brand that looks sustainable and a brand people actually join in with. And this is where the core foundation comes in. For me, great branding always starts with 4 things. Okay. Why, what, who, and how. Why do you exist beyond making money? What do you actually offer in plain language? Who is it truly for? And that's not everybody. It has to be the right people. How do you do it differently? What can you prove? And if you can't answer these 4 questions clearly, you don't have the building blocks for a proper brand and you don't have any strategy going forward. You might have some nice visuals, you might have some nice content, and you might have some nice website material, but you don't have clarity. And clarity is the first part of that experience. Because if people don't understand you instantly, consistently, then they don't trust you. And if they don't trust you, they won't buy from you. Now, I've worked with clients where they don't have that clarity. And that's not always the business owner's fault or the company's fault. Sometimes they've never been taught how to think in a different way. Sometimes they've not had the time. Sometimes the business has grown messy over the years and nobody has stepped back to organize that story. Sometimes they want a rebrand because they think visuals alone will just fix their problem, when in actual fact, there's a lot more to it. Strategy, structure, consistency is all the problem. And honesty, sometimes we can win and sometimes we don't. Some clients get it absolutely immediately. They see it, they feel it, and then they run with it. Other times they don't. They don't have that vision or the tools or the buy-in to following through with what the brand designers laid out for them. And that's okay. I've learned more from the clients that I don't get to win with than the ones I have done, because it teaches you things about business and how businesses are actually struggling and what they're struggling with. And it proves something really important. A rebrand it's not just changing the creative and expecting conversions. That is the biggest myth in business. You can't redesign a logo, rebuild a website, post a few new graphics, and then act surprised when the numbers don't change, because conversion's not an event. It's not also a design event. Conversion is all results that are leading for that full experience working properly. Like, so you'll get a spike in traffic, for example, and if you're not consistent, it will drop off. And a proper rebrand is really a consistent project. It's about consistency of your messaging that you use, consistency of that tone, consistency of the visuals, the hierarchy, how the customer journey is, and then the delivery. It's about the feeling you create for that client and that customer. And the feeling isn't random, it's completely engineered. Look at all the brands that do this very well. Science and Sport use a high contrast, athlete-led imagery, faces with emotion, sweat, effort, discipline. Nike does it with their Just Do It campaigns, that pressure, that belief, that identity. Adidas have done it and Gymshark do it consistently now as well. They don't just show products, right? They pull you into their world through strategic photography, strategic feeling. They sell that feeling to you as a standard. Cycling brands are masters of this too. Rafa is a perfect example. Rafa isn't just about jerseys and bib shorts. Rafa is a tradition. Them long rides on a Sunday, them coffee stops, and belonging to a community. Then they've built physical spaces based on that, where they've got cafes in places like London and Milan, and they run group rides from them places and community events. So you're not just buying kit, you're buying that identity. And that's why big brands, you pay that premium. You buy the experience, you buy the feeling of being part of something that, is high end. That's what brand does. That's why you have luxury brands. And here's the point I want to land on. When companies get to a certain level, they hire brand managers, head of design or head of brand director, whatever the role is in that business. And people don't actually realize what these roles actually mean. And they actually mean CX, which is customer experience roles. Because by that point, their job isn't, oh, let's make this look nice. It's not. It's to protect that experience, that feeling. Make sure that the marketing matches the product, and then that product matches the website, and that website matches the service, and that service then goes and matches the promise, the reality, and the consistency of that brand. That is why brand is an experience, and that's why designers should be treated as thinkers and not just glorified decorators. Because if your designer is doing their job properly, they're not just asking, what colors do you like? They're asking, what do your customers need to feel to buy from you? What do they need to believe in? What's currently getting in that way? What experiences are you actually delivering right now? Where is the confusion? Where's the friction when it comes to your website or the route from your social media to then your site? Where's the trust missing? Where have you got inconsistencies? And if you can answer these things with your designer, you don't just end up with a better logo, you end up with a better business. So if you take one thing from this video, guys, make it this: a brand isn't a design deliverable. It's a result of a consistent experience. You build the company, your customer creates the brand, and the job of design isn't to make it pretty. The job is to shape the experience so customers understand it, trust it, and want to be part of your business or product. And if you want, drop a comment below like I asked and tell me what you think your brand is known for right now in one sentence. And if you're not sure, that's actually the point, because if you can't answer or say it clearly, your customers probably can't either. And I'll leave you with that, and I'll see you in the next. Peace.